Over the decade plus of going to the gym, there is a lot of things I learned and that I also regret. That's why today I want to share with you some of the biggest learning lessons, so that you don't have to waste years doing something stupid just as I had to. The first thing I want to talk about is something that really cost me a lot of time before I was able to realize it, and that is understanding how to actually grow certain body parts. When I was still relatively new to the gym, I was absolutely certain that I just had terrible genetics for some body parts, and there was nothing that I could do about it. One of those body parts that I just couldn't grow no matter what I tried was biceps. So I just came to the conclusion that I have probably just lost the genetic lottery. But once I started to discover more information about training, this all changed. Yeah, you can have worse genetics for certain body parts, but if you know how to go about it, you can always make it so much better. The problem is that in a situation like that, it's very difficult to find solution to your problem anywhere, because that's something that is not really being talked about online. So it might take you a couple of years before you are able to figure it out by yourself. So to save you those couple of years, here is what I learned about growing that one body part that just seems to suck. It boils down to three main things. First is your exercise selection. You need to come back to the most basic variation of the exercise that exists for that body part. If we go back to my biceps example, that meant the barbell curl. The reason why it's important to go back to basics is because when you worked out that one body part that you just can't seem to grow, you probably made some foundational mistakes along the way. So it's like if you built a house but the foundations were made from paper straws. That's why you need to go back and replace that with solid basics. The second thing is placing high priority on that body part that you are trying to grow, which means always doing it early in the workout. If you are really serious about it, you should always do it first in the workout, even if it might look quote-unquote stupid. I know that going ahead and doing calf raises as the first exercise of the workout, for example, might seem insane. But you need to realize that building muscle isn't some kind of corporate meeting where everything has to follow some preset norms and rules. You need to do what puts you in the best position to achieve your goal, and even if it seems super unconventional, that's fine. After all, you are working out to be muscular. You don't have to care about how it looks to others, because you will be the one who will get the last laugh. Putting the body part that you are trying to grow as the first exercise of the workout will allow you to focus on it way more than before, and I mean that both physically and mentally. Training a body part completely fresh is just an incredible feeling. And the last thing that completes this trifecta of growth is that you make sure that you are actually progressing on that exercise. That is also why we need to focus on the basic exercises, because they are the best at clearly measuring progress. Because I know exactly what you are doing at the end of the workout when you do some goofy exercise. You are not counting your reps and you are using the same exact weight over and over. You need to switch away from this. Remember, your goal is to get better by at least one rep from last time. It might not be possible every workout, but that's what you should aim for. The next thing is probably something that a lot of you can relate to, but even if you can relate to it, you have probably still not done anything to resolve it. It's how motivation actually doesn't matter if you absolutely hate what you are doing, and I had to learn that the hard way. A lot of people, when they finally decide to go to the gym, are insanely overmotivated to instantly change their whole life around. But this motivation is actually what makes most people quit, because when you are overmotivated, you want everything right here and right now. So the first thing you do is make your whole regime completely unsustainable, and as the motivation fades, you have no desire to continue doing what you set out to do when you are so insanely overmotivated. It's only after you get some training under your belt you realize that being motivated doesn't matter. You have to truly enjoy what you are doing, otherwise you will quit every single time. And I really wish I learned this sooner, because I fully believed that I wasn't having success because I wasn't in on some secret exercise or secret method. So I kept doing some goofy stuff that I absolutely hated. That's one of the main reasons why I try to really promote the basic exercises and getting your foundation set up in a way that will make you succeed in the future. Because the basics is what everything is built on. So once you learn them, you are then free to explore whatever exercise you want to do and that you like. And that is ultimately what will make you keep coming back to the gym and give you that dream physique that you always wanted. Next up is something a lot of you might still be guilty of, and I was too, so I don't blame you. But it's time to finally fix it. The thing I'm thinking about is going to the gym 6 or even 7 times a week for like 2 hours each day. That is just completely mental, especially if you are a beginner. You need to realize that you build muscle when you are resting. So stop trying to completely annihilate yourself from the face of the earth. It's just not necessary. If you are more experienced and you want to work out 6 times per week, that's completely fine. But even then, those workouts should be around like an hour or so. Because if you are working out like 14 hours a week, I have absolutely no clue what you are doing in there. I was guilty of the typical beginner mistake of going to the gym 6 times per week and being there 2 hours or more each time. And not only that it wasted a lot of time in the day, but it also didn't give me any results. Now that I look back at what I was doing, it really makes me cringe super hard. If you are a beginner, you don't need to go to the gym more than 4 times per week. It's just not necessary. It's all about trimming away the fat and only keeping the exercises in your routine that truly make a difference at the end of the day. Like I have done in my new beginner bundle, where you go to the gym 4 times per week and you only focus on the absolute essentials. No fluff, no BS, only what is truly important. You get a training, nutrition and a cardio guide, which are made to teach you everything you need to know in the most simplified way possible. If you want to learn more about it, click the first link in the description. Next up, we have one of the stupidest things possible that just doesn't really contribute to your gym progress in any sensible way, and that is doing 1-rep maxes. When I was starting out in the gym, I usually went there with my friend, and we would very frequently do 1-rep maxes on the deadlift and the bench press, because that's what we saw on the internet, and we thought that's what you simply had to do. Granted, it was like 2013 and we were young and stupid, and trying to find some sensible information on the internet at that time was pretty difficult. But that's besides the point. The point is, unless you are a powerlifter or you are chasing some very specific goal that is important to you, there is no point in doing 1-rep maxes. Not only that this will not really contribute to you getting bigger, but there is also a big chance of you getting injured, especially if you are a beginner. The reason why this is really bad, especially for beginners, is because repetition is the mother of wisdom, or whatever that saying is. And you only learn the proper technique by actually doing the exercise over and over. And if you did 3 sets of 1 rep versus 3 sets of 10 reps, which one of these methods would help you learn the exercise faster? What do you think? Yeah, it's pretty obvious. In the bodybuilding world, where you just want to get bigger, 1-rep maxes don't really matter at all. All that matters to you if you want to get big is that you are consistently progressing in weight and reps. That should be your main focus. And it also should have been my focus back when I was a dum-dum. Now we have to be honest with ourselves for a second. I'm sure that there is a large portion of you who are completely skipping leg days, and you are rocking that Johnny Bravo build. But you need to realize that you don't even need to train your legs super hard like a maniac if you don't want to. You just need to train them at least a little bit. And after years and years of working out, it will be enough to not make you look like a chicken. When I first started working out, I also really wasn't a fan of training legs, because it's difficult, and people don't really like doing difficult stuff. But it's 1000 times better to just train your legs once per week than to completely skip them, because it's a compounding effect. Even if you train your legs only once per week, imagine that spread out over a year. That's a ton of gains that your legs can get, and you have to train them just once per week. That's something that everyone should be able to do. And when I say legs, I also mean calves. Here the compounding effect is truly important, because there is a big chance that as you get more and more into the physique building lifestyle, you will realize that those tiny calves are really not a good look, and then trying to catch them up later might be a pretty tall task. Lastly, I want to talk about one thing very important to me, because it was exactly what made me successful in the gym. You need to realize that there is no need to chase perfection. All you need to do is keep things simple. Your routine doesn't need to be scientifically optimized. That doesn't matter. Your routine just needs to be manageable. Once you reach that point where your entire routine is simple, sustainable, and enjoyable, you basically guarantee yourself a lifetime of gains. Thanks for watching, I hope you learned something. Don't forget to check out the beginner bundle down in the description. Good luck in the gym, and I will see you next time. If you like this video, then you will for sure like this one too.